Hello, welcome to today's session. First of all, how are you all? Everything going well? So, welcome to today's session. My name is Vivek, I am your instructor, and I will be guiding you through this session about a very important topic. So, today's topic that I have chosen to discuss with you, today's topic that I have chosen is Numpy. So Numpy or numerical Python is a library. Numpy or numerical Python is a library in Python which has a lot of inbuilt functionality for doing complex arithmetical operations. So in the field of data science, data analysis, or anywhere where there is some scientific research involved, Numpy is a must know library in that field. So Python, if you go by only using Python for arithmetical operations, you would be lacking speed, because Python doesn't support a lot of complex arithmetical operations, and it has a library Numpy especially dedicated for doing arithmetical operations. So in today's world, if somebody is doing any sort of data analysis, any sort of scientific research, or any sort of arithmetical calculation, or doing statistical calculations or anything, Numpy is a library that he must know. So we would be learning Numpy from the very basic level. We would be learning about the array concept, because Numpy stores data in the form of arrays. That array can be one-dimensional, two-dimensional, or n-dimensional. So we would be talking about the dimensions of array, but don't worry about it. It is a very easy concept. So Numpy stores the data in form of arrays. Okay. So arrays are very important in terms of mathematical or arithmetical operations. Okay. So how the array differs from the inbuilt Python list. So array is also a collection type where you can have many elements. It is a collection type. Okay. So a collection or group of elements it can hold. Python list is also a collection type. So why don't we use Python list? Why we use Numpy array? That question arises in the mind. It is a common question. So there are some things that a Numpy array has and which a Python list doesn't have. Like Numpy has inbuilt arithmetical capabilities, inbuilt functions that you can perform on your data. Python list doesn't have that many functions or methods. So clearly Numpy is a winner in this case. Also in Numpy, vectorized or element wise operations are done. So you can multiply every single element by 2 in Numpy array in a single time, but in Python you have to write a for loop for that. So whenever you are writing some for loop for some arithmetical calculation, that is a slow approach. So Numpy comes to the rescue, and it has a vectorized way of doing things. So you can directly multiply, you can do element wise addition, element wise subtraction, element wise division, element wise multiplication in Numpy array. So these are the features of Numpy. Don't worry about the terminology, element wise and other things. We would be learning them step by step. It is a very easy concept, don't worry. So Numpy is a library that is used for arithmetical operations. So let me show you. First we would be learning about how to create arrays in Numpy, and we would follow a routine, and I would be telling you how to step by step how to create arrays and what routine you should follow every day so that you could master Numpy in the shortest period of time. So let us dive into the world of Numpy. So ideally I am opening, and I am opening the command prompt here. So Numpy is a library that doesn't come with the standard Python distribution. So whatever version of Python you have, first you should download the latest version of Python. In my case, the latest version is 3.12.5. So you can download the latest version on Python, and you can see the date here, August 6, 2024. So this is the latest version of Python. First download it. After that, you can install Numpy using the pip command, pip install, and the name of the library, that is Numpy. So in my computer you can see requirement already satisfied. So in my PC, Numpy library I have already downloaded. But if you don't have the Numpy library, when you enter this command, the installation of the library would happen. Okay, after the library gets installed, we are going to be importing it. So import Numpy. So this is the standard way of importing a module in Python. Okay, we use the import command, import keyword here, and then the name of the module. So if it doesn't throw any error, means the module Numpy has successfully installed. Otherwise it would throw module not found error. Then you have to reinstall the module, reinstall the library. So the first thing, we are going to create a one-dimensional array. So what is one dimension? 1D. I am giving it a name of 1D. Okay. So what is one dimensional? So think of one dimensional data as just a collection, just a simple list. So just a simple list: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so think of one dimensional data just as a simple list of objects. Okay, now we are going to be seeing how to create an array using this one dimensional data. So we have a list here, and this is a one dimensional data. Now we are going to create a Numpy array. So array is the variable, and we are assigning it to, so in Numpy there is a function array, there is a method array. So Numpy dot array takes in a argument which is the object, so Numpy dot array is a method that takes in an argument that is the object, and then it creates an array of that object. So here just this simple step is needed for creating a one-dimensional array, and then we can output it. So we are just writing array here, and you can see it is showing array 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. We can check the type of this array by using the type function, and you can see that it is class numpy.nd array. So numpy.nd array is the type of this array. It is a n-dimensional array. Here in our case it is a one-dimensional array. So don't think much about this numpy.nd array. We would be covering it, and you would be understanding every bit of it. Don't worry. So this is how we create a one-dimensional array in Python. Now we are going to create another array so that you would get the practice of it. So another one dim. This would have some other values 20, 30, 40. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40. We are going to create an array one dim array. It would be np numpy dot array and then the object. So another one dim. This would create the object. So we can check one dim array. So this is another array that we created. Now we are going to be writing a program where a user can enter the number of elements that he wants to have in his array. So the number of elements he wants to have in his array, then we are going to create a loop or something like that where we would ask him to give a number and then we would be storing that number in an array. So we would be reading the input from the user and creating an array dynamically from user's input. So this is the program that we are going to be writing now. So first we would save this file as practice.py. Okay. So the first step to create this program is to import numpy. Okay. Then we are going to write a string where we would be describing what we want in the program. So first we would ask the user for the number of elements. Okay, so let me do it. So n is the variable and we would use the input function here. We would write enter the number of elements you want to store in the array. Okay, here we would print a simple message, welcome to the array creation program. Here you can create a one-dimensional array. Okay, so this would be the, and we are going to print some empty lines so that there would be some space between this. So first thing is done. Next, as the input function here always reads the user input as a string data type. So we are expecting the user to enter a number here. So we would have to convert that number into a integer. So converting the input from the this first step to integer, to int. So we are going to do that int, and then after the input gets registered, we are converting it into integer, and then we are collecting that value in the variable n. Okay, hope it is clear. Then we are going to write a for loop. So we are going to write a for loop which would run in range 0 to the number we got from the second step. Okay, so the range function, this is the start index, this is the starting value, and this is the stopping value. So you must understand and know that the stopping value is excluded, so it is not included in the range. So suppose someone chooses a value, someone chooses a range from 0 to 4. Okay, so the range would be going from 0, then it would go 1, 2 and 3. It would not go up to 4. So the last value of the range is not included. So here the third step is there. So we are going to do the third step. So for I in range 0 to this n, so n is the number of elements, so this would be the size of the array. So here the user is choosing how many elements he want to store in the array, and here we are running the loop according to that size. Each time the loop runs, in the fourth step, each time the loop runs, we are going to be asking user for an input which would be the element he wants to store in the array. So each time this loop runs, we are going to ask the user for an input, so that he would input an element and we would store that in an array. Now see, we are in this, we saw that we created a list first, and then we used that list as an argument for the numpy.array method. So here also we are going to create a list which is a one dim. You can give any other name. It is a one dimensional array that we are creating, so I am giving a name one dim, and it would be an empty list. So each time coming to the fourth step, asking the user input. So input, each time we are going to ask enter a number that you want to store in your array. Okay, we are going to convert that input into an integer. So this is a step. I am not writing it again because I would write it again. Just I am copying it, and it is the fifth, converting the input from fourth step to int. Okay, so in the fourth step we ask for the integer element, and then we are converting it. we are going to collect it in a variable a. We are going to collect it in a variable a, and then we are going to append it to the one dim, which is a list. So list has a method append, where you can in the argument put in a object and it would get added, it would get appended to the list. So by the end of this for loop, our one dim data would be having some elements. So whatever the user would enter, we would have that stored in the one dim list. Okay, so we are going to create a array object here. So numpy dot array, and we are going to input the object one dim. So this would create a array from this list after this loop executes. So everything in Python happens in a sequential manner. So sequence of task is very important. So see, the first task is taking the input from the user. This is the first thing. Then we have a one-dimensional list, which is an empty list in the beginning. Then we have a for loop. So tasks would execute sequentially. So when this for loop ends, when this for loop is over, our one-dimensional data would have some elements in it. Then after that we are creating the array. So sequence of things is important. Everything is sequential. So print, we can access the size of this array. We can access different properties of this array now. dtype, print array dot save. Okay, and we are also going to display the array to the user. So first I would be creating something like this, so that our array would be displayed in between this. Print array. So this is our complete program, and the last step, sixth step is here. So after we converted the input, we would append the input value from fifth step to a list. So here we have done that, and after the seventh step is create an array using np.numpy.array. Use the list from step argument. So this is the complete steps for creating the array from user input. We are going to save it. So I have saved it. Now I am going to be calling it Python practice.py. this is saved in my desktop, so I have to go to the desktop first, then python practice.py. so it is asking welcome to the array creation program. Here you can create a one-dimensional array. Okay, enter the number of elements that you want to store. Suppose I want to store 5 elements. Enter a number that you want to store in the array: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So here is our array: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It is the array. The size of it is 5 int 64 and shape of it is 5. We can improve this program a little bit by adding the values here so that it would not be ambiguous. So size d type and save. Now we have saved it. After saving it, we are going to run it again. So python practice.py. so it is asking for the number of elements. So 5, 10, 30, 67, 89, 94. So you can say size it is 5, data type is int 64, shape is 5. Okay, so this is a program to create a array from user's input. It is a dynamic program. Now we are going to open another IDLE and we are going to open another IDLE and we are going to be creating a two-dimensional array this time. So import numpy. Now like one-dimensional, I told you, was a single list of data. So it was like a single list of data. Two-dimensional is list within a list. So two-dimensional is a list within a list. So you can know that a data is one-dimensional or two-dimensional by seeing the brackets. So here the square bracket count is, it is 1, 2. So 2 brackets, two-dimensional. Think of it like that, you would understand it clearly. So here we are going to have numbers 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 200. Okay, so it is a data. I have saved it, collected it in the variable 2dim. So it is a two-dimensional data because it is a list within a list. Now we are going to create a two-dimensional array using the numpy.array method. So array is numpy.array and the object is 2dim. Okay, so we can access now the attributes of this array. So we can do size, which is let me show you by a print statement. Size, which is array dot size. So the size is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 elements. So size is 6 array dot, we are going to print the shape which is array dot shape. So it has 1 rows and 6 columns. So two-dimensional data, you can also think of it like rows and columns of data. So here the data, the row, you can see it has a single row, and column wise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 columns, 6 elements in a single row it has. Okay, now we can check the D type. So D type, data type of this array is array dot D type. So array dot D type is the property which would give us the data type of the array. So it is integer. So now we are going to create an array dynamically from user's input, and we are also going to write the algorithm for how we are going to do it. So first we are going to open a new file in the IDLE. We are going to close this previous practice file. Here the first step is importing Numpy. So because without importing Numpy, you would not be able to use the functionality or the method that this library provides. So first, the most important thing is importing the library on the top of the file. Okay, after that we are going to create a algorithm for this. So here we are creating a two-dimensional array this time. Okay, we are creating a two-dimensional array this time. So we are going to create a prompt here. We are going to write welcome to the program. Here you can create a two-dimensional array. Okay, so this is the prompt. Then we are going to give some blank lines. Okay, now for two-dimensional array we have to give a row and a column, because two-dimensional data is like a table of data which has rows and which has columns. Okay, so first we are going to create two variables, one for row, one for column. So how many rows our data would have and how many columns our data would have? So that first answer we should be taking from the user. So R would be for rows. So input, enter the number of rows you want to have in your array. So this is the first question that we are asking the user. Okay, after this we are going to create a column. So input, enter the number of columns you want to have in your array. Okay, so enter the number of rows and the number of columns. Step 1 is finished. Step 2 is converting the input received from step 1 to integers to int. So by default the input function will read the user's input as a string, and we have to convert this to an integer for this program. So int, and very simply we can convert this into int by using the int function. Okay, so whatever user would enter, the int function, if it is a number, the user's input would get converted to a integer. Okay, now the third step is creating a for loop, and we would be creating a for loop, and then we would run like for I in range row and for j in range column. So it is simple, you would understand it. The third step is writing a for loop. So for the single dimension data we wrote a single for loop. For a 2 dimension data we have to write loop within a loop for 2 dimensions, for rows and columns. So write a for loop. So we are going to write a for loop here for I in range 0 to r. Okay, so the outer for loop would run from 0 to r. So the range of it would be the maximum number of rows the user has entered. The inner for loop for j in range 0 to c. So like it would run like this. For the first time when it would run, I would be 0. So the row would be 0, and it would enter, and for j in range, j would also be 0. So 0th row at the 0th row and 0 number index, 0 number column. Okay, so 0th index we would be accessing that, and then each time we are going to ask input value that you want to have in your array. Okay, so each time this loop runs, we are going to ask the user for inputting a value. Suppose the user choose he would have a single row and 4 columns. So what would happen? For I in range 0 to 1 it would be, for the first iteration, for the first time, I would become 0. So I would be taking the values from this range, and I would become 0 for the first time. So I would be 0, and then j would be, for j in range, if the user gives the number 4 as the column, j would be in range 0 to 4. So j would run 4 times and I would run single time. So each time for this I, j would run in the range from 0 to the 4th. So j would be having 0, 1, 2, 3, and after j becomes 4, then I would become 1. It would be like this. So for loop for j in range, we are asking a input we are copying this, okay, and we are collecting this value in a variable a, and here after this collection we are going to be adding it to our list. So we would be having we would be creating a list here. 2dim would be the name. It would be a list which would contain, it would be a list that would contain another list, but here we are only giving a single empty list. Now each time this loop finishes, we have to create a list here. So we have to create a list in the above j, so that all the data of single time, all the data that is collected by the user would be calculated as a separate list. After that, list would be added to the 2dim variable, okay, because a two-dimensional structure is a list within a list. So here we have a single list and we have to append a list to it to make a two-dimensional data. So for I in range, we are going to have a list here. Suppose this list is a O, it is an empty list. Each time we are going to append data to the O list, okay. So this whole loop, when it finishes, it would create a list, and this list would then get appended to 2dim. So we have to append that list to the two-dimensional data that we have. Each time after appending it, so 2dim, we have to append this to O. Here we can write it in the algorithm. So creating a list, creating an empty list for the data that we get from the inner for loop, okay, and then appending the data. So the sixth step is appending. Here we are doing that, appending the data to the list from step 5, okay. After we append it, so this is the thing that would give us different values, okay. So it would be running from, if suppose the user chose a column 4, he would want 4 elements, okay. So it would be for j in range 0, 0, 1, 2 and 3. So it would run total 4 times. So O would have 4 elements by the end. After that, when this loop exits, we are going to append the O to the to dim empty list. Okay, and then next time when this loop runs, because there can be multiple rows, so I would be 1, then this loop would again enter and j would start from 0 again. So when the loop again runs again, this O should be empty. Okay, this O should be empty. Now so up to this everything is good. In the 7th step we are going to be append the list from the 5th step to the main list. So this is our main list. This is list that would get updated by the values of the inner loop. So every time the inner loop runs, it would create 4 values. If the user has chosen 4, if the user has chosen 2, it would create 2 values. If the user has chosen 10, the loop would create 10 values. So those values would get stored in this O variable, and then after the loop finishes, after the j reaches the range which the user has chosen, we are going to append that list to the main list. Okay, hope this is clear. Then we are going to create an array object. This array would be 2-dimensional. So the method for creating an array in Numpy is numpy.array, and then we are going to enter the object which is the main list to dim. Okay, we are going to save this file. It is 2 dims array. Okay, we are going to save it in the desktop. So it is saved. We are going to print the array between these lines so that it would be visible, it would be clearly visible. This now we are going to have some lines, then we are going to print the different properties of this array. So print, we can print the size of this array. Okay, which is array dot size we can print the shape of this array, which is array dot shape. We can print the dimensions of the array. These are the standard attributes of an array, and again when you practice this it would become your second nature and you would not do any error. So array.ending would give the dimensions. Also during the interviews, when someone would ask and if you have done practice really well, you would be able to perform. Yeah. Print and we are going to Okay, so we are printing size, shape, dimensions, and we have written all the steps here. After that, one more step that you needed here is create a variable and collect the array, collect the value, create a variable and so this would be make an array using numpy dot array method, and in the argument pass the main list, pass the list main list. So this is the main list where all the values are collected, and assign and collect that in a variable. Okay, so this is the final step, and there are total 8 steps in it. So step by step we have written the program. Let us run this and see if some error exists. We would check it. So Python, and name of the file is 2dims array.py. So it is asking, welcome to the program. Here you can create 2-dimensional array. Enter the number of rows you want to have in your array. So suppose we want to have 2 rows in our array, and suppose we want 4 columns in our array. So now it is asking for a value 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, see, so 2dim and O we have written here we have missed the append method. So things like this sometimes happen. So now again we are going to run it would run this time. So enter the rows, suppose 2 and 4, input a value 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so here this time 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. It is a 2-dimensional array. Size of it is 8. Shape of it is 2 rows and 4 columns, and dimension is 2. Now you must be seeing that this is a string value that is getting stored in the array. So here we have not converted this to a integer. So we have not converted this into a integer, that's why it is happening. So we would convert that into a int, and then we are again going to run this program. CLS Python and then 2dims array.py. Now we are going to create array with 3 rows, 3 columns. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. So it has 3 rows. You can see 3 rows and 3 columns. Size is 9, shape is 3 by 3, dimension is 2. So we have seen how to create a 2-dimensional array by reading users input. Okay, so now I would be giving you a challenge also, and that would be a homework for you. The homework would be to create a, let me write the homework for you. So it would be homework for this. Homework would be, first create a one dimensional array. Okay, elements should be 5. Max element, it should maximum elements should be 5. So you should create an array with 5 elements. Okay, so this is the first homework. Second is, first homework. Second homework is create a program which would create a one dimensional array from user input. Okay, this is the second homework. This is the second task, not homework, make it task. Third task is create a program which should create a two-dimensional array from user input. So from user input you have to create a two-dimensional array. Okay, this would be the third task. So this would be your homework for this session. If you are following along this video lecture from your home, you can post your code in the comment box. This video would be going to the YouTube, so you can post your answers in the comment box. And homework, if you do it correctly, you would get the practice of doing things. And programming is basically doing things. If you learn and memorize rules and other things, it won't work like that. If you have to master this thing, you have to code alongside and you have to solve some questions. So this would be your homework for today's session. Okay, this would be the homework. So in this session we have seen how to create a one-dimensional array, what is one-dimensional array, what is two-dimensional array, how to create one-dimensional array from user input, and how to create two-dimensional array from user input. Now there are some more functions that are used to create arrays in Numpy. I am going to give you a brief 15 minutes on one of those functions, and after that we would be doing more about the methods and functions. We would be learning more in the coming lectures. Okay, so import numpy, then numpy has many functions or many methods to create array objects. Okay, So one of them which you should practice daily is creating an array of zeros. So zeros array. Okay. Numpy has an inbuilt method of creating an array of zeros. So here the method is numpy dot zeros. Okay. This numpy dot zeros takes a tuple as an argument, and this, let me show you. So this tuple, you can give the shape of the array. Suppose you want a single dimensional array with 5 elements, so you would just put 5 here, and it would create a single dimensional one dimensional array with 5 elements. Okay, now let us check zeros array. So it would create array filled with zeros. Okay, it would create array filled with zeros. So 0 point, 0 point, 0 point, 0 point, 0 point. So it has zeros all over it. Okay. So this method in Numpy is especially designed to create an array filled of zeros. Okay. Now we can check the dimension of this array by using AND. We can check the shape of this array, which is, it has 5 elements. We can check the size. Okay. So this is a very neat way to create a Numpy array which has zeros in it. It is a very important concept. There are some routines that you should follow every day. So you should follow some types of arrays every day to master Numpy, and this is one of the routines. So numpy.zeros would create a array filled with zeros, and the argument that you give, it would create the dimensions of the array according to that. So suppose 2-dimensional 2 dims 0 array. Okay, numpy dot zeros. Here in the tuple we are going to provide 2 values, one for the first dimension, one for the second dimension. So 2 dimension is like a row and column concept. You can think like that. So 2 and 3. Suppose we want 2 rows and 3 columns. We can print it and check. So this contains 2 rows and 3 columns. We can check the type of this: 0 dims, 2 dims, 0 array. The D type, which is float. Okay. So in this session we have covered the concept of array and how to create a 1-dimension and 2-dimensional array using the numpy.array method. We have also seen how to create a 1-dimension and 2-dimension array using user's input, which would be creating a dynamically array, dynamically. Now we have also seen a little bit of the numpy.zeros method. So in the coming sessions we would be learning a lot more, and we would be focusing on several things in Numpy. In the meantime, you should complete this homework, and in the next class we would be seeing how to do how you have finished the homework and other things. You can post your comments in the comments of the YouTube video. You can post this homework. Okay. So till then complete this. I would meet you in the next lecture.